and let us all do we can to build a better future.
We're going to talk about Senator Bernie Sanders. I know. The biggest cuck in political history. I know. Senator Bernie Sanders. A disappointment. You know, as much as I hate to say this, were it not for his 2016 campaign, I don't think I would have been inspired to do Hard Lens Media. I don't think Daniel and I would have gone forward with all of the work that we've done were it not for the actions of Bernie Sanders. But the thing is, Bernie Sanders allowed his movement to die. Not once, but twice, we've seen him bow to the establishment. Now, look, when it comes down to politics, you have to leave a mark. Whoever you are, if you are in a position of power, a legacy lasts forever. And for many who view Bernie Sanders, they see him as a purveyor of change, someone who fights for social issues. And I won't take away all of Bernie Sanders' work. But the thing is, he will forever remain in my mind and many others as somebody who let the movement die, as somebody who let their own fear get the better of them and bow to the establishment. Senator Bernie Sanders turned a blind eye to the election fraud that happened in 2016 and 2020 in the Democratic primary. He didn't fight for his supporters as they were being smeared by corporate media, viewing them as Bernie bros. He didn't fight for his delegates that were being abused and harassed, especially during the 2016 DNC convention in Philadelphia. He allowed the Biden-Harris administration to basically ignore all of his issues, all of his policies that he wanted. And yet he always went to bat for his good friend Joe Biden. Now it's very clear that Bernie is all in with the DNC, and he's going to support President Joe Biden because, the orange boogeyman is coming back into politics? Trump is running again? Big deal. Of course he was going to run again. This is Donald Trump we're talking about. He's got the ego the size of Jupiter. But the fact that Bernie is, again, ignoring the fact that Joe Biden is one of the architects of this neoliberal system that he's so critical of, it really calls into question what is his overall legacy. And his legacy is one of failure and being a cuck, if I have to be so blunt. Because I've never seen anything this pathetic where, again, you see Bernie Sanders, senator from Vermont, going for Joe Biden again. The same Joe Biden who helped architect a crime bill to incarcerate Black and Latino families and communities. Same Joe Biden who browbeat Anita Hill. Same Joe Biden who said he was against busing and desegregation. Same Joe Biden who said he didn't want his white kids with black kids. Same Joe Biden who was against a woman's right to choose. Hey, this is the same Biden-Harris administration in which, Roe v. Wade died under their watch, and the kids are still in cages. Gee, what's an overall legacy? And a legacy of his successors, too, because once Bernie is gone, there will be the remnants of his movement, such as the failed Justice Democrats and brand new Congress and our revolution. Here's some of the words of the man himself as he's all in for Biden. It's pretty pathetic to watch and sad.
Senator President Biden announced his campaign officially for re-election this week. He would be 86 years old by the end of his second term. You're 1 year older than President Biden. Is his age something that voters should consider in 2024?
Well, I think when you look at a candidate, you consider a lot. I think age is one thing. I think experience is another thing. I think your record that you have established.
So in other words, a record of not supporting the unions. Remember that? Shout out to Twitter community notes where they called out the Biden Twitter account for saying it's pro-union when they dismissed the railroad workers.
Is another thing. But to my mind, Donna, when you put it all together, what you have to look at is what does the candidate stand for? Which side are they on? Are they on the side of the billionaire class? Or are they on the side of working people? Look, it is no great secret. I ran against Biden. No great secret that he and I have strong differences of opinion.
Oh, God.
But when we live in a nation where you have a major political party, the Republican Party, where many, not all, but many of their leadership doesn't even believe in democracy. They maintain the myth that Trump won the last election. They're trying to keep people from voting. They're trying to deny women the right to control their own bodies. So that's a whole issue out there. If you believe in
Okay, so let's talk about democracy for a second, Bernie. You know, the DNC convention, the Democratic primary, they have a thing called superdelegates. So in other words, the Democratic primary, the Democratic establishment doesn't care. There's been articles showing that the DNC, where you have the head people in charge saying that, yeah, they could choose whoever they want. They don't care what the people want, Bernie. So in other words, it's the pot calling the kettle black. God damn it. I mean, I know what the Republican establishment's all about. I know about these Republican senators and House representatives. And yeah, we get criticism from a lot of people saying, oh, well, how come you're always so stepping down on the Democrats? Because I know what to expect from the GOP. I know what to expect from Republican lawmakers. It's low-hanging fruit. But the Democratic Party doesn't believe in democracy either. And not to mention, oh, wait, one last thing. Yeah, Roe v. Wade died under Biden and Harris, okay? That's the truth of it. And if they actually gave a damn, Bernie, your good friend would have done everything he could to make sure that would be codified. Hey, even Obama, he should have done everything he could have done to make sure it was codified. But they didn't do it. Why? Because the Democratic Party may not believe in democracy, but they do believe in sending out those goddamn fundraising emails. Give us money, and we promise maybe kind of sort of we'll do that thing you want.
Democracy, you want to see more people vote, not fewer people vote. I think the choice is pretty clear, and that choice is Biden. And second of all, what I do believe is the Democrats and the president have got to be stronger on working class issues. They've got to make it clear that we believe in a government that represents all, not just the few. Take on the greed of the insurance companies, the drug companies, Wall Street, all the big money interests, and start delivering for working class people. You do that, I think Biden is going to win in a landslide.
Yeah. Okay. And so here you have Bernie. Article commentary. Sanders calls on Biden to fight for working people as GOP wages war on debt limit proposal. Well, gee, Bernie, are you going to talk about the fact that, oh, I don't know, maybe if the Democrats actually gave a damn, a lot of these issues that we're dealing with now would have been solved already? There's been numerous opportunities, Bernie, in which the Democratic Party could have done the right thing. And yet here you are going to bat for the DNC and Biden. And you're assuming that, well, I don't know what, Biden can win in a landslide? Biden and Harris's popularity and approval rating is going down. Now, there's a 50-50 chance they could probably pull it off, but you're talking about a landslide victory. Were you paying attention in 2020? He barely won by the skin of his teeth. That's how close it was. And Donald Trump's still around. And despite the numerous attempts by everybody trying to put him in the jail or impeach him or do something, he's still here. He's still standing. And whether the Democrats like it or not, you're going to have to face off against them. But all these false promises of, oh, just you got to be pragmatic. You have to wait. How long do the American people have to wait for any kind of real significant change? This is why I say in the show that we got to break away from even assuming that we could change the DNC. It's not going to work. And you want to know what I mean by this? Well, here, let me pull this video up here. Here is the legacy of Bernie Sanders and his overall failure. Here's one of his successors. Dare I say it? It's all a song and dance. It's all show. I hope this boils your blood because all these people who carried water for Justice Democrats, outlets like TYT and Majority Report, the establishment media, the Vote Blue, no matter who, it's all a show. They say they care about the issues, but they don't. They say that they'll fight for you, but it's all symbolic. They'll say things you want to hear, but they'll never follow through on it. They'll only put on a show. And this is the best show ever right here.
Oh, you look so beautiful. Wow.
It's all a show.
You're heading north on the right side. The elevator.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
It's all a show.
Hey there, is Mom there? Oh, thank you so much. We're in the van on the way there.
That's what you're witnessing. That's successor, one of the many successors, quote unquote, that's going to be supposedly raising the ruckus. But when confronted, when AOC and her like are confronted, they break down. They don't do a damn thing. They don't fight back. I want to pull up this video here because, again, when they are challenged, they want to dismiss the people.
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because they're a bunch of war hawks. Okay? You originally voted, you ran as an outsider, yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start a thermonuclear war with Russia and China. Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives.
There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian Nazis. You're a coward. You're a progressive socialist. Where are you against the war mobilization? He's telling the right truth. You have done nothing. Tulsi Gabbard has shown guts where you've shown cowardice. I believed in you, and you became the very thing you sought to fight against. That's what you've become. You are the establishment, and you are the reason why everybody will end up in a nuclear war unless you choose to stand up right now and denounce the Democratic Party.
And people like AOC can't denounce the Democratic Party. People like AOC can't speak out against the DNC because, well, they got a nice cushy job there. And so Bernie Sanders set this precedent of, oh, just fall in line and maybe the DNC will give us what we want. That's not true at all. The Democratic Party will never follow through with Medicare for all or a woman's right to choose. The Democratic Party won't do a goddamn thing about the kids in cages. Okay? The Democratic Party is not going to do anything about struggling homeowners. Democratic Party doesn't give a damn about raising the minimum wage. Democratic Party doesn't care. They don't care. They don't care. George Carlin was right. It's one big club and you ain't in it. The man was ahead of his time. So how do we end this? How do we look at Bernie Sanders? Well, we all know that, again, he threw his hat in for Joe Biden. How can we end this? How can we end this segment but bring up something that is truthful but painful at the same time? I'm going to remove myself from this video segment, and I will play this uninterrupted. I think it's a perfect quote. It's a perfect video to end this segment about Bernie. And that is, he was a shepherd leading sheeple into a failed party. Shout out to Jesse Jett. These words are a perfect way to end this segment about Bernie Sanders and his legacy. And that's the real truth.
If you fool me once, it's because I didn't think a guard was needed. If you fool me twice, it's because I didn't learn the lesson, so it bears repeating. If you try the same play 3 times running, it's because you know what's coming, and you didn't come to lead, you came to purposefully be misleading. Democracy is dry. It's been a century bleeding. The husk is gaping open to the sky, out in the field where all the sheep just keep on circling and worrying and bleeding. They're waiting for the shepherd that they've tried to hide their faith in, but he's so appealing. They'd gladly give their fleece. It's such a freeing feeling. that even when he leads them to the ledge and starts to urge them on, they're positively beaming. They were told that they were on their way to save democracy, so even as they plummet, they just gloat. They don't consider screaming. And halfway up the cliff, the shepherd's cozy little mittens wrap around the staff of shattered human hopes on which he's leaning. He shows the gentle grin that used to stir your inner spark, and he says, "Not me, us," as he gestures to the oligarchs. He knows that if he runs, they're going to stop him like a stolen car. And he'll easily surrender because it bought a lot of time for laying mines in all the grassroots. Suddenly, the tiniest of movements gets you blown apart. Suddenly, you're in a play that's set on an election day and voting for the fire, unaware you're playing Joan of Arc. Suddenly, the shepherd pulls the rug and slips a hood across your clueless mug, and everything goes zero dark. I'm gonna warn you once more before it's 2024 and you fuck around and find out who your heroes are. To take a step back from the herd and you'll learn that you can spot who all the shearers are. If you really want to know the product that they're selling, I can take you where the mirrors are. If you think your voice is finally ready, I can tell you where the lyrics are. I hid them in a box I had to bury neath the cobble when they carpet bombed the promenade and raided all the street bazaars. Now all we've got's the marketplace, and you're too broke to even bother asking what the options for your treatment are. Suddenly, the raw debris of homeless human dignity will find it has 100 teeth for every badge and sweeper's arm. Suddenly, they speak in solidarity and each is armed. Suddenly, the sheep can see the shepherd for his truest form and all pitch in at once to help him buy the farm. And now it's zero dark. And all is calm and peaceful save the distant wail of sirens that approach beside the flames of dawn. Suddenly, the carrot's just a string that's on a stick, and all your movements make you sick because the prize is gone. Now, we could go and flee into the forest low and meek, or we can exercise our right to feast and go and graze on Biden's lawn. Because he's been sowing seeds that seep a toxin out to sap a bit from each of us and keep on leaching decades after Biden's gone. So regardless who they summon out of hell to come and do the job, it will not feel like Biden's gone. But in that time of hopelessness, you cannot trust the shepherd when he once again comes asking you to humor him his siren song. And it's cute that you can innocently, honestly assume that's just a symptom of a system that was wired wrong, and not the standard feature, basic function, primary objective of a mass hypnosis firebomb. You don't need to know the words to cry along. Someday it'll hit you like an officer who pistol whipped their ride along. Broke his jaw and kept his job and kept it moving right along. That voting isn't red or blue or black or white or right or wrong. Voting's like a firing squad where you can choose the firearm. It's slow extinction by and large. It's Super Tuesday supercharged. It's all your futures, roots and all, just tossed out on a garbage barge. It's everybody dropping out to push the biggest oligarch. It's everybody voting fire, registered as Joan of Arc.